Our next speaker is Dr. Ofir Winter. Dr. Winter is a research fellow at the Institute for National Security Studies and a lecturer at Ariel University. His PhD dissertation focused on Egypt and Jordan's quest to legitimize their peace treaties with Israel. He is the co-author of the book Zionism in Arab Discourses and the author of several articles on the Arab-Israeli conflict, church and state in the Arab world, and contemporary Islamic law. The subject of Dr. Winter's lecture today is The West in the East, Zionism in Islamic Discourses. Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me congratulate also Professor Shavit for his new trilogy, these 3 books. And as we'll see today, Uriya didn't produce only books, but also some students. And I'm proud to be one of them as my supervisor in the PhD. And there are plenty of others that will talk after me. But what I want to say, that I think that among the 3 books of Uriya Shavit, this one that I was lucky enough to take, to be in the process of his writing next to Uriya Shavit, this one is probably the most provocative one. What we are claiming in our book, our main thesis, is that Israel is not only an enemy in Arab, Islamist, and liberal writings, but is also a role model. And this is what we are trying to answer. How can we understand this ambivalence in the Arab, Islamist, and liberal perception and conceptualization of the Zionist project? As you all know, if I want to stress this paradox, if you want to insult your political or ideological rival in the Arab world, it's very simple. You can just call him a Jew. Here you can see the Hassan al-Banna, the founder of the Muslim Brothers. You can just try Google and Hassan al-Banna and Jew, and you will find many examples. Yusuf al-Qaradawi, maybe the most prominent Islamist leader of the Wasati stream in our generation, is also a Jew. Even Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, now the head of the so-called Islamic State, is a Jew. The second most popular search, if you will try in Google, is the autocomplete will give you Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, Yahudi. And this is just a few examples. He's made in Israel. It's a whole conspiracy theory. His name is Shimon, and he is a Mossad agent. So, if being a Jew or a Zionist is such a severe accusation, how come Islamists and liberals alike call Arab societies to follow the Jewish and the Zionist and the Israeli examples, as we showed in our book? So we argue that the Zionism and Israel, for Islamists and liberals as alike, is an extension of the West. I mean, their dual approach to the Zionism is part, both with liberals and Islamists, is part of their dual approach to the Western other. So, when it comes to liberals, it may be a little bit more obvious. For some liberals, not all of them, but some of them, Israel is representing liberal values that are missing in the Arab world, in the Arab societies. As you maybe saw this picture a few weeks ago, after the killing of Samir Kuntar, Faisal al-Qasem, the popular host in Al Jazeera talk show, posted in his Facebook page this post that was shared more than 1 million times, in which he called Arab societies, and the Syrian in particular, the Syrian regime in particular, to learn from Israel how to treat your prisoners. So he wrote, Samir Kuntar got out from Israeli jail fat and with PhD, while Syrians get out from Assad's jails looking like this. And this is just an example. As we demonstrate in our book, there are plenty of other fields that liberals are calling their societies to follow the Israeli example. Sometimes they are depicting Israel as a kind of a liberal ideal. Maybe it will be strange for some of you, but this is what they are saying. Israel is an example for democracy, free and fair elections, for accountability, for the rule of law. Even an Arab judge, such as George Kara, may convict Israeli Jewish president, and all citizens are equal before the law. And Israel is also portraying sometimes as the heaven of high tech and technology inventions, like the disk on key. Yeah. So this is, and also a country that prefers scientific education over religious conservative one. But there are also many dilemmas among liberals, and I want to share with you one of them. And one of the questions is Israel also a secular state? And some liberals are arguing that the answer is yes, for some of them. Their goal, I must say, when they are saying that Israel is a totally secular state, ignoring the fact that some are calling for closing shops in Saturday and etc. Their goal is not necessarily to know what is going on in Israel, but to serve their liberal message. An example for this approach is Tunisian liberal Afif al-Akhdar, who called Palestinians during the time of the Oslo Accords to learn from the Israelis. He wrote in an article in El Hayat, he wrote, when establishing their state, Palestinians will have to take heed of the Israeli example. As in Israel, they will have to distinguish between faith and citizenship and between theocracy and democracy. If the Palestinian people adopt the virtues of yesterday's enemy, they will be transformed into a vanguard for the Arab nations of the Middle East. Yeah. Okay. On the other side, not all liberals are agreeing with Afif al-Akhdar. An example for one of them is Kamal el-Abwani, a Syrian oppositionist who visited Israel 1.5 years ago in a peace mission. And when he wrote his article after the visit, he said that he refused to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. What was the reason? It was not that he is not accepting the Jew roots in the land. This is not the case. His rejection to the Jewish state stemmed actually from his liberal perspective. He fears that if he will recognize Israel as a Jewish state, he may, and if Israel will be defined as a Jewish state, it might encourage other countries in the region to define themselves also on a religious basis. In that case, if this will happen, Israel might become a negative model for the intersection between religion and politics, at the expense of a very core liberal value, such as the separation between church and state. And what about Islamists? Some of them actually realize al-Abwani's fears. Many Islamists, I show you a few examples, praised the alleged religious nature of Israel as an kind of an antithesis to what's going on in their societies, their secular societies. This point of view was flourished especially after the Six-Day War defeat as an explanation for the Arab defeat. It was not Muslims that were defeated in the battlefield. It was Arabs that ignored their faith. And these are the ones who lost in this war. Al-Qaradawi, Yusuf al-Qaradawi, I showed him before, he was one of the first to associate the Jewish faith with their superiority on the battlefield. He wrote, if the usurpers of the land are fighting us out of religious motives and aspirations, we should fight them in the same manner. If they are fighting us with the Torah, we shall fight them with Quran. If they return to Talmudic decrees, we shall return to al-Bukhari and Muslim. If they say we hold the Shabbat day holy, we shall say we sanctify Friday. If they say the temple, we shall say Al-Aqsa. In conclusion, if they fight us carrying the flag of Judaism, we shall fight them carrying the banner of Islam. For Qaradawi, unlike Arabs, Jews managed to adopt and he was not the only one. He said that the analogy between the Jewish, he made the analogy between the Jewish religion devotion, fighting with the Torah, and the need for a similar devotion on the Muslim side by people who neglected their effective weapon of faith. But, as I told you in the beginning, Israel is not only a religious state, as we argue in our book, it's also an extension of the West. And it's a sort, for many Islamists, especially Wasatis, it's a sort of ideal religious state that enjoyed the desired Wasati merge and fusion between the old and the new, the modernity and the transition, the faith and the science. In this regard, Fathi al-Shkaki, you can see him here, one of the founders of the Islamic Jihad in Palestine, developed the explanation of Yusuf al-Qaradawi for the Arab defeat in the Six-Day War. He wrote, a man of faith who belongs to doctrine existing for thousands of years, sanctifies the land, fights for it, and carries with him mechanisms, support, and materialistic modern civilization. These are the Jews. Opposes a man devoid of faith, ignorant of the meaning of the land that he is fighting for, and without a sensible civilizational intelligence. Well, who shall be victorious and who shall suffer a defeat? For Fathi al-Shkaki, unlike the Arabs, the Jews were managed to adopt the mechanisms of modernity, but still without losing their link to the roots of the religion. So this is the ideal. Finally, it should be noted that even when Israel is conceptualized as an example, Israel stays for Islamists and also for many liberals, it stays an enemy. But at the positive side, however, at least for the Jews among us, you can know that even if you are a secular, even if you are religious, you are a role model for someone out there. So thank you, and Mazal Tov again, Uriya.
Thank you very much, Dr. Winter, especially for keeping to our timetable. And the next